This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. The next big tease is going to be some friction with The Rock, who's gaining a lot of popularity and momentum now that he's a heel on the Nation squad, and Farooq, who is the designated leader. What was their relationship like as Rock started to catch a little steam?
Kind of father-son-ish. And I think Ron really took Rock under his wing and looked at this as the opportunity to make a new guy, and saw the potential in Rocky. And it's like, okay, man. And I'm pretty sure I'll put words in Ron's mouth, but it was, Ron's going to ride this Rock gravy train as far as he can. Yeah. But it was a good way to get somebody over. And Ron and Rock got along. And Rock went to Ron for advice, and Ron was happy to give it.
So their disagreement really starts to heat up in December, and then he being Farooq, pronouns pal, makes it to the final three of the Royal Rumble with The Rock and Steve Austin. What a pairing that is now. Think about that. The last three in the ring for the 1998 Royal Rumble are The Rock, Stone Cold, and Farooq. Farooq wants Rocky to help him eliminate Austin and then eliminate himself, but Rocky, of course, refuses. Austin ends up the winner anyway. Is the hope here that Ron is going to become the sympathetic babyface and that The Rock is going to be the heel? Or do you recognize The Rock's charisma is so big, fans aren't going to want to boo him?
Well, at this time, they were happy to boo him, but at the same time, we were going somewhere else, and we wanted to go new. And we had Shamrock and Austin kind of lined up for Rock and wanting to get there, and didn't think that people really wanted to see the Farooq Rock match per se.
At WrestleMania 14, Shamrock and The Rock would face off for the IC title, which would see Rocky win by DQ. Shamrock's going to attack him after the match, and Farooq comes down, but decides to walk away, and that effectively makes him a bit of a babyface. So the next night he gets kicked out of the Nation, and it builds to a 6-man tag team at Unforgiven. It's Farooq, Ken Shamrock, and Steve Blackman on one side, D'Lo Brown, Mark Henry, and Rocky Maivia on the other, and the babyfaces prevail. The hot tag comes in, a fresh Farooq cleans house, but Rocky uses a DDT for a near fall, and then Farooq got the pin, according to Meltzer, with a sloppy Dominator. Half a star. What'd you think of the Dominator as a finish?
I thought it was a great finish. It's just hard to do on everybody.
Yeah.
So, it's, I think that whenever you have a finish, you should be able to do it on everybody.
It is interesting too, to think that Unforgiven match that has The Rock in it is the opening match on the card. First match there. And Ron pins The Rock here in 1998 on pay-per-view. Things are going to change. And over the edge, there's a show-long storyline after the Farooq character attacks Rocky, but there's an issue with the chair in the attack. The chair isn't there when Rocky gets pile driven on it, but JR calls it with the chair, and Lawler says the chair moved, but Rocky still got stretchered out anyway. This is one of the pitfalls of doing live TV. As we said earlier about the injury, shit happens, right?
Well, no, this is a pitfall of the announcers knowing what's supposed to happen.
Okay.
And calling what's supposed to happen versus watching your monitor and calling what actually does happen.
Yeah. So if you're taking notes at home, Bruce just faded all the heat to JR there. Supposedly Rocky is too hurt to work.
Now, see, you're stirring shit again.
You did it. I just recapped what happened.
No, all the commentators are guilty of it. If they know something, they're calling it as if they know it, and they don't always watch their monitor.
Well,
and sometimes guys will miss shit. Michael Cole called, oh my God, someone's levitating when they weren't. Because he had read somewhere along the way that someone was supposed to levitate.
But you are carting a guy out on a stretcher. He's got to explain why he's being...
Okay, but don't call going down on a chair if it doesn't happen and you don't see it.
Supposedly, Rocky is too hurt to work, but Sergeant Slaughter's going to force him to work. What really feels like a babyface gimmick. Meltzer would write, Maivia came out with the belt, and of course he's wearing a neck brace. Farooq then attacked Maivia, took off the neck brace, and began hitting him. They worked the match with Maivia no longer selling the neck injury that was supposedly so disabling. The crowd had no clue how to react because even though Maivia was put in the face position, they didn't like Farooq or didn't dislike Farooq, but they could have cared less about him and didn't like Rocky. Again, no heat. So it is interesting that we're starting to get more shades of gray here in the Attitude Era in 98. Would you agree with that assessment?
Definitely. I think that the audience was more interested in characters and not so much good guy, bad guy. It was, you had good guys with bad guy tendencies and vice versa.
Towards the end of the match, Owen Hart and the rest of the nation are going to make the save. And then DX does a run in to save Farooq. Of course, the DX crew gets a big reaction. The whole thing's kind of a clusterfuck, but I feel like we glossed over Owen Hart now associated with the nation. It's interesting to take a look at this group and see how it's evolved, but I get it. It's a wrestling podcast, but he's saving us money on our mortgage. Do you really trust this process? The reviews don't lie. 5-star review after 5-star review. We make it fast. We make it easy, and it's no cost or obligation. Give us a shot to earn your business. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did, especially if you like keeping more of your own money. You don't need perfect credit or money out of your pocket. So what are you waiting for? Hurry to savewithconrad.com. The nation breaks up after King of the Ring to splinter out into different groups. You've got Crush with the Disciples of Apocalypse, Savio Vega with Los Boricuas. Was Vince McMahon seeing the success of the NWO and said, God damn, we just need a whole bunch of those?
I think Vince thought that, if you could take some of these guys and splinter them off into groups and have different factions fighting, you had the ability to make a lot more meaningful matches based off of the faction. If that makes any sense. Versus having a single program with Crush and Savio, the Boricuas versus DOA is more attractive. Now, when you have Crush of DOA versus Savio of the Boricuas, that's more attractive with everybody else around it and involved. Having Miguelito Perez and 8-Ball or Skull, it's more attractive with the factions.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at savewithconrad.com.